Yo, what's up, LinkedIn? So, wanted to go a little deeper, but take a step back. I know I've been talking about, the last couple of days on how to, be a resource, not an order taker, how to qualify companies. I see a lot of times, in our industry, nobody's really ever understanding the impacts that the supply chain logistics operations has on on a company or on an entire organization. And I think that that's a huge gap. It plays such a every department, most departments play some sort of role in touching the supply chain, and it impacts far more. Put the rate aside, some departments other more than others, but it impacts every department to some degree, if not if there isn't any processes or strategies put in place. So I want to share. It's a brief quick thing. One sec. So right here, so we got qualifying. What's qualifying? So I talked about how not the masses of 3PL salespeople, brokers, strictly salespeople, they're not qualifying. I've seen it time and time again. No one really qualifies anything. You'll get again, if this is you, nothing to be ashamed of. It's a lot of times it's just because your company or leadership hasn't taught you anything on how to be a resource. But qualifying to me is finding challenges or inside a company and being able to solve them. Obviously, a qualified account could be it is situational, whatever your qualified account is. But put the rates aside, know what your company has to offer. Then instead of reaching out and just looking for a rate or just trying to get on someone's carrier list, build out a case. Right, there's multiple different departments that logistics, supply chain operations is impacting. Start talking to them, which is again who and why. I'll get into that, and then as well as what I consider, or what you should start thinking about, is what do you consider a qualified opportunity versus or a good opportunity, qualified good opportunity. And I want to note this real quick. A good lead on paper, I always used to say, as a manager used to tell me, a good lead on paper doesn't necessarily make it a good opportunity. And what I mean by that is, for instance, say my target customer is spends $250,000 a year. Cool, got that. And that's all I really, that I found that out. They do 250, didn't really dig in any further, but little did I know is they already utilized 3PL and, had a very, very good relationship. We're fully integrated into them. Yeah, it's a good lead on paper, but it's definitely not a good lead on, a good opportunity, an actual good opportunity, because chances of getting that with that amount of integration or whatever it may be, it's just not a good opportunity. So let's go over here. So how and why? So these are I put down departments. These departments are all impacted by the supply chain. These departments are all departments that you can call into to build out a strategy or to figure out, pull out some pain points, figure out if there's challenges inside the company from a supply chain standpoint that you can benefit. And, I'd always talk about is, how it's impacting the company as a whole. If you're really looking to be, solving a ton of challenges is really, the first and foremost way to stand out amongst the masses. I mean, so these are the departments. I'm not going to get too granular right now, but I wanted, just to share this, shipping, IT, CSR, customer service rep, sales, and then accounting, finance. And, the reason for it is, it allows you to uncover pain points. It allows you to uncover challenges, like I keep saying, inside the company. That way, if you should be using a CRM, you can say, hey, listen, this is a qualified, I talked to accounting, they're having issues. I talked to sales. They don't, they're waiting, they're losing sales because the process right now is they have to call into, shipping, and wait for a quote, and shipping has to quote out, 6 different vendors. And at that time, because organization's a commodity. We'll just stick with widgets. The customer went somewhere else. That is real life. And, again, that's where you start thinking about how it impacts the company, entire organization. We're not even talking about rates yet. Rates matter, but these things matter. These things are more significant when there's challenges inside the company that is, impacting multiple different departments. And then, it really does separate you from the masses. I mean, let's face it. I've been doing this 8 years. I was talking to someone the other day. We were just kind of shooting the shit. And I was like, it just baffles me still. Like, there's so much information out there. Everybody, you can Google, how do I stand out in logistics? And still to this day, people don't want to, again, I guess you only know what you know, but at some point you got to just look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, if I'm going to stick with logistics sales, again, if it's working for you, great. And you're making great money, great. But if it's not, you got to look at this thing 10,000 feet up. I mean, it's only going to get, more and more people, I hope, start getting a little bit more sophisticated and realizing this. It's just going to benefit both parties. And then, like I said, when you're reaching out to executive leadership, 9 times out of 10, they're not trying to have a, shipping conversation with you. It's more or less, hey, if you've done your homework, you want to have, a financial discussion, a business discussion, saying, hey, listen, I talked to these 3 departments. It's, financially impacting your company, as well as, a ton of, manual labor they're doing it. And it's, which is increasing your billable hours, and so forth. So again, I'll go a little bit more in depth on this. I just wanted to share this. I know I've been talking a lot about this, but one more. So some of these things is like for a qualified lead, right? This is like just something that qualified can mean anything, whatever your qualified customer is, but I'll look at it and I'll say, okay, cool. Minimal visibility, manual process on the front and back. And what I mean is on the front and back end, the front end is, booking, tracking, tracing, like ordering process, as well as, the shipping. That's manual. And then on the back end is, I consider that like accounting, right? Visibility or, AP, having to go through manual invoices and allocating however they allocate, whether that be Excel, just any type of manual work. When I say diluting buying power, that is a real thing. I mean, LTL, even truckload, if you're using so many different mixtures of carriers and carriers direct and brokers, let's face it. It's a volume game to some degree. It's like, that's why it's like, it's not even worth it. That's why I only do strategic, because it's like, I don't want to even get involved in that. And that's why a lot of times I'll see is, rates go up, down, up, down, up, down, especially on the LTL piece, which they shouldn't. It's hard to blame anyone on that, right? It's like, you blame the shipper. It's like, they're quoting everybody out, but has anyone ever really sat there and told them a different idea than this is how you're supposed to do it, But then it's like on the other end, it's like, I don't really, you can't feel that bad, or you can't blame the broker, because maybe that's all they know, right? And they're trying to make a quick buck because that could be their last load for that. It's a transactional mindset. So it doesn't make sense to me. I don't think really logically it doesn't make sense to anyone, but people do it because, again, people only know what they know. And then, not accurately allocating shipping costs. So maybe they're eating the cost, having to eat the cost of, chargebacks or whatever it may be. New COO. So I put all this stuff in my CRM. So I'm building out a case, and then, I'm very detailed in my CRM, excuse me. And then I'll put like, hey, listen, these are the 3 value adds. This is who I spoke with. Now I'm going to call that new COO. Like, that's something, like, again, knowing that in my head, it's like, okay, maybe the new COO brought in I'm assuming he was brought in to make some changes. There's some, challenges inside the company. Let me give him a buzz. Or also someone that's new in a company, doesn't matter, even executive leadership. Sometimes they're trying to come in and reinvent the wheel right off the bat. So it's just understanding what's going on inside the company. And then, yeah, like I said, is, knowing you have qualified leads is a way it's a way more solid feeling when you start going and calling in for meetings. Again, if you might not, you might, again, most people don't even cold call to go get meetings. So it's like, do the research, get these leads qualified, have a pipeline or have a CRM with all these qualified leads. And then you're going after and calling to get a meeting. Hey, did some homework. No, Jim wanted to reach out to you. I spoke with your accounts payable, as well as shipping. There's a few different things we can come and bring to the table. Definitely going to put back, eliminate all the waste and billable hours, but also, I know you guys are diluting your buying power, and we're going to be able to drive costs down without, having to, you guys sacrifice the diverse profile of carriers. You'll still get those, something like that, right? I'll go more in depth next week on, discovery calls, not discovery calls, but like I call them discos, setting a disco. But, with the DM, that's when you really get, in that meeting, that's kind of where you can fill it out if it's going to make sense and if people are bought in. But cool. Hopefully this is helpful. Let me know. I got a ton of these. Like I said, I'm still in the works of putting everything together, but I was too jacked up, but I look tired, but I was just too jacked up to not share this. And I think that, the feedback I'm getting, from a ton of, newer salespeople coming in, DMing me, I love it. I'm going to try to do something on like live next Saturday with a couple of them. If I haven't got back to you, I do appreciate you guys not shooting me over the virtual coffee thing. I love it. But keep blowing me up if I haven't reached out to you. Like I said, I'm the kind of person you just got to blow up, but please reach out if you need any help. You're not going to get a bill or anything from me or anything like that. I'm just doing this, paying it forward. So, cool. Have a good Saturday. And as always, keep it real. You know who you are.